Hello and welcome to another video. So I have here three questions written in radical form. Okay, so you have the radical of the radical of a radical. Okay, here you have two terms written in radical form that we need to put together and express as a single term. This is a rational expression of irrational expressions. Okay, so but how do you simplify them so that you just have one term or you have just one single expression? Well, I'm going to use this example to explain the concept, because once you understand the concept, you can as well just solve this at the speed of light. Okay, so let's start with this very first question. I'm going to link this to this part of the board where the work actually happens. So if you look at this first example, what you notice is that you're expected to first take the square root of x, then take the cube root of the answer you get, then take the fourth root of the answer you get. So you start from the innermost part and then you keep gradually going outside. Let's assume we're trying to write this in exponent form. This is going to be the square root of x raised to the cube root of x raised to the fourth root of x. So this is how it's going to look. It's going to look like this. X to the 1/2, which is the same thing as the square root of x, raised to the 1/3, which is the cube root of the square root of x, raised to the 1/4, which is the fourth root of the cube root of the square root of x, which is exactly what we've written here. So remember that law of exponent, that when an exponent is raised to a power, you multiply the powers. So now what we do is we multiply this by this. Whatever we get, we multiply by this. So this term, this expression is going to become x to the 1/2 times 1/3. Okay, times 1/4. So you see, you just have to multiply all the exponents together. And what do you end up with? You're going to end up with x to the, if you multiply this, 1/2 times 3, 6 times 4, that's 24. So your final answer is the 24th root of x, which we can write like the original problem. Okay, remember, okay, another thing I want to say is this. Whenever you're given a problem in radical form, try to write your final answer in the same shape as it appears in the question. So instead of leaving your answer like this, which is correct, you might want to transform it and write it this way. It is the 24th root of x, and this will be our final answer. So you see the concept there, and that's what we're going to apply here and here. Let's go to number 2. So for number 2, we have this and we have this. We just need to find a way to make both of them similar, because you cannot add or subtract any two radical terms unless they look exactly the same. Okay, so if this contains square root of x squared, then this too has to be square root of x squared, or square root of x, or square root of whatever. So what's inside the radical sign has to be the same, and what's outside here in the elbows, that is the roots you're looking for, have to be the same. Right now, these don't look the same, and this is just weird. Let's try and simplify. So we're going to go here and do it. In order to make our work easy, I'm going to transform this to write it as an exponent. Okay, so I'm going to say it is x squared raised to power 1/4, and I'm going to write minus, this is x to the 6th raised to power 1/4 divided by x. Okay, that's what you have. This is x to the power 1. So now let's just play with the exponents. Okay, there are many other ways, but this is a very easy way and you'll rarely be confused. Okay, so here my next line is going to be x to the, if you multiply 2 by 1/4, that will be 2 times 1/4 minus, this is going to be x to the 6th times 1/4 divided, you know what, let's just write it this way, x to the 1st. So your next line is going to be, if you multiply 2 by 1/4, what are you going to get as your answer? 1/2 minus, what would you get here? 6 times 1/4 is going to be 6/4, and that's going to be 3/2. So that's going to be x to the 3/2 divided by x to the 1. And remember that if you want to move this up here so that you have a straight line, you just need to change the exponent here from whatever sign it was. If this was positive, it goes up and it becomes negative. If it was negative, it becomes positive. So we can rewrite this next line as x to the 1/2 minus x to the 3/2 times x to the -1. So we move this up and there's no more division sign. Now let's take care of this, okay? To take care of this, remember when you're multiplying, you need to add the exponent, which means we'll be having x to the 1/2 minus x to the 3/2 minus 1. So you're adding these two together, which means just this plus -1. And what does that give us? That gives us x to the 1/2 minus What's 3 over 2 minus 1 over 2? Ooh, it's x to the 1 over 2. What do you think our answer is? It's been a while that I've gotten an answer that's 0. Okay, but this is 0. So this whole expression is 0. There are many other ways you could have solved this, but this one avoids any mistake by rewriting it as an exponent and transforming it back, but there's nothing to transform because we've got 0. Nothing. Okay, let's go to the third question. So for this third question, I can see what the answer is, but I still want to follow this process that we've used for the previous questions. So I'm going to use this, okay? And say we're going to write this as the square root of 6. So let's do that. So this is going to be 6 to the 1/2 divided by, this is 36 to the 1/4. Okay, that's another way to write this. This is another way to write this. Okay, so let's do this. Why don't we move this up so we don't have all these fractions? Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this as 6 to the 1/2 multiplied by 36 to the negative 1/4. Remember, when you move this up, you just change the exponent to negative. It's an easy way for you to take care of it. So now we know that you can express 36 as a power of 6. That's what the question expects you to think. Okay, so there's some basic things you're supposed to know. So let's rewrite 36 as a power of 6. So this is going to, remember that 6 squared is 36. 6 times 6 is 36. So that's what you're expected to use here. So we're going to write this as 6 to the 1/2 multiplied by 6 squared raised to negative 1 over 4. You see how I've changed this 36 to this? Now you can now multiply the exponents according to that rule, which will now give us 6 to the 1/2 times 6 to the 2 times negative 1 over 4. What's the answer to this? It looks like it's going to be 6 times 1 over 2 times 6 times 2 times 1 over 4 will be negative 1 over 2. Interesting. What does that give us? Well, remember, when you're multiplying, you just add the exponent. That's going to be 6 to the 1/2 plus negative 1 over 2. Ooh, that gives us 6 to the 0. What's 6 to the power 0? That's a beautiful question. Now, you could have stayed with the square root signs, okay? But I still think that converting to exponents makes your work easier, and then you can go back and write it as in radical form. But there's no radical to write here because our answer is, again, not a radical, but a rational number, 1. Hope you learned something in this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it, leave a comment in the comment section. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, don't stop learning. Those who stop learning have stopped living. Bye-bye.